The rain fell like silver needles against the window as Emma clutched her daughter, Lily, close to her chest. The child's skin burned with fever, her tiny breaths short and uneven. "Stay with me, baby," Emma whispered, her voice trembling. She dialed her husband's number again. No answer. Another attempt, still nothing. Then on the fourth try, laughter and music burst through the line. The background hum of a crowd, the clinking of glasses, and his carefree tone sliced through her heart. "Emma, can this wait? I'm in the middle of something important." His words felt colder than the rain outside. "Lily's sick," she said, her voice breaking. "She can't breathe properly, and her temperature—" "Give her some medicine," he interrupted quickly. "I'm sure it's nothing. I'll be home later." Then he hung up. For a moment, Emma sat frozen, staring at the phone screen that had gone dark. It wasn't just the call that ended. It was something inside her too. The man who had once promised forever had chosen champagne over his child. She pressed her lips against Lily's forehead, whispering a prayer she could barely finish. The city lights blurred through her tears as she wrapped Lily in a blanket and rushed out into the storm. Her car engine roared to life and she drove faster than she ever had before. The world around her a swirl of rain and fear at every red light. She begged silently, "Please, not my baby." The hospital came into view at last, glowing faintly through the rain. She parked without thinking and ran inside, soaked and breathless, clutching Lily like her whole world depended on it. Because it did. Somewhere between her racing heart and her daughter's weak cry, a silent promise formed in her soul. If they made it through this night, she would never be the same woman again. The hospital lights were too bright, too clean, too quiet for the chaos inside Emma's heart. Doctors rushed Lily away, leaving her standing in the hallway, trembling and soaked. Her fingers felt empty without the weight of her child in her arms. She pressed her palms together and whispered, "Please, God, don't take her from me." Time moved differently there. Every second stretched into hours. When the doctor finally returned, his face was serious but calm. "You brought her just in time. It's a severe infection, but she's stable now." Relief crashed over Emma like a wave. She covered her mouth to hide her sob, her tears mixing with the rain still clinging to her face. But when she sat beside Lily's small bed, listening to the rhythmic beeping of the monitor, another emotion replaced the fear, an ache sharper than pain itself. She opened her phone again. No missed calls, no messages, not even a single word from the man who should have been there. She scrolled through social media and froze. There he was, her husband, smiling at a rooftop party, a glass raised in one hand, his arm wrapped around another woman. The caption beneath the photo read, "Celebrating success and new beginnings." Her heart didn't just break. It shattered quietly, piece by piece. Yet as she stared at that glowing screen, something inside her changed. The tears stopped. The trembling faded. She sat straighter, her eyes focused and calm. It was no longer sadness that filled her. It was purpose. If he could choose his new beginning, then so could she. She looked at Lily, her little chest rising and falling with effort but strength, and whispered, "We'll make our own life now, my love. One he'll never be able to destroy again." The old Emma, the one who waited, cried, and forgave, disappeared in that moment. What rose in her place was a woman who had finally learned what love truly meant. Protection, not pain. Morning sunlight slipped through the hospital blinds. painting golden lines across Lily's tiny face. Emma hadn't slept all night, her hand never leaving her daughter's. Every beep from the monitor felt like a reminder of how close she had come to losing everything. When the nurse came in with a gentle smile and said, "She's improving," Emma finally exhaled a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. But peace didn't come. It was replaced by something stronger. Determination. The kind that grows in the ashes of heartbreak. She looked at her reflection in the glass window. The woman staring back wasn't the same person who used to wait at the door, hoping to hear her husband's car pull up. Her eyes were clearer now, her heart colder, but wiser. She knew she couldn't keep living in the shadow of his choices. She owed Lily more. She owed herself more. So, as Lily slept peacefully, Emma opened her laptop for the first time in months. Her old project files blinked at her, waiting. She had once been an architect, talented, creative, and unstoppable. Her career had paused for love, but now love had betrayed her. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling not from fear but from rebirth. She began sketching again, designs filled with strength, warmth, and courage. They weren't just buildings. They were symbols of her new beginning. With every line she drew, she rebuilt the pieces of herself her husband had broken. The sound of her daughter's soft breathing reminded her why she had to rise. And then, as if fate wanted to test her new strength, her phone buzzed. His name appeared on the screen. For a second, old memories tugged at her heart, but she pressed decline. No hesitation, no tears, just silence, because Emma had finally realized she didn't need his voice to feel alive. She had found her own. The next week passed in quiet storms. Lily was recovering fast, her laughter slowly returning to the hospital room, and every smile she gave felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. But when Emma returned home, the silence of the house felt heavier than before. The framed family photos on the wall looked like ghosts of a life that no longer existed. The scent of his cologne still lingered on the couch, faint but haunting. She gathered his things one by one, his shirts, his watch, the half-empty bottle of expensive perfume, and placed them neatly into boxes. No anger, no shouting, just a calm determination that came from knowing something had ended. That night, as the rain tapped gently on the windows, Emma sat at the kitchen table with a cup of cold coffee and her laptop glowing softly in front of her. She opened an email draft titled New Proposal. It was for a sustainable housing project she had once dreamed of building, a plan that her husband had dismissed as too emotional, too idealistic. Now it was hers again. She sent it to a company that had once admired her work before marriage had dimmed her light. Minutes later, a reply came. They wanted to meet. For the first time in years, she smiled without forcing it. Her heart still carried scars, but beneath them was fire, a quiet, steady fire that no betrayal could ever extinguish. Just as she was about to close her laptop, her phone buzzed again, a message from her husband. "I think we should talk." She stared at the words, her heart still for a moment. Then she typed back, "There's nothing left to say." She turned off her phone, stood up, and looked out the window at the city glowing under the night sky. Somewhere deep inside, she whispered to herself, "This is my beginning." The meeting room was bright, filled with voices and ideas bouncing through the air. But Emma stood quietly at the front, her confidence radiating without a word. The company's directors listened as she explained her new project, eco-friendly homes for single parents, built to offer safety, warmth, and strength. Her voice didn't shake once. Every slide, every detail, carried the weight of her experience and the heart of her journey. When she finished, there was a pause, then a burst of applause. One of the senior partners said, "This isn't just architecture, Emma. It's hope." In that moment, she realized she had not only rebuilt her career, but also her purpose. After the meeting, she walked outside into the city sunlight. The world felt different, brighter, cleaner, alive. She looked at her reflection in a glass window and almost didn't recognize herself. Gone was the woman who once begged for attention. Now she was someone who created her own path. As she walked toward the hospital to pick up Lily, her phone buzzed again. Another message from him. "I'm sorry, Emma. I made a mistake." She stared at the screen for a long time, then deleted it without replying. Some chapters don't need to be rewritten. They just need to end. At the hospital, Lily ran into her arms, her laughter echoing through the hallway. "Mommy, can we go get ice cream?" Emma smiled, her eyes softening. "Yes, baby. We can do anything now." As they walked hand in hand under the warm afternoon sun, she felt a peace she hadn't known in years. She realized that the love she had been searching for had been beside her all along, small, brave, and pure. It wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of the life she was meant to live. Months later, the grand opening of Emma's project drew attention from across the city. Reporters, investors, and families gathered around the new eco-housing community, a symbol of hope built from her pain. The stage lights reflected off her simple white dress as she stepped up to the microphone. For a heartbeat, she felt the weight of her entire journey pressing against her chest, the nights of fear, the betrayal, the loneliness. But when she looked down and saw Lily sitting in the front row, clapping her tiny hands, that weight lifted like morning mist. "Sometimes," Emma began, her voice calm and strong, "life breaks us so it can rebuild us into who we're meant to be. I once thought love meant holding on, but real love means letting go of fear, of hurt, of people who don't see your worth." This community was born from that truth. It's not just walls and roofs. It's a place where broken hearts can heal, where new beginnings are built from courage. The crowd grew silent, hanging on every word. As she finished her speech, someone in the crowd called her name. She turned and saw him. Her husband stood at the edge of the crowd, eyes filled with regret. For a moment their gazes locked. Then Emma smiled, not in anger, not in forgiveness, but in peace. She turned back to the cheering audience, taking Lily's hand as they stepped down from the stage together. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low and golden light bathed the new homes, Emma whispered to her daughter, "We made it, my love." Lily leaned against her and murmured, "You're my hero, Mommy." Tears welled in Emma's eyes, but this time they were tears of pride. She had lost everything once, but in finding herself, she had gained a life no one could ever take away again.